Now recognize the Vice Chair, Mr. Hill of Arkansas, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chairman, thank the panel for being with us today to continue our investigation of the poisonous culture at the FDIC. Ms. Manu, the Gottlieb report outlines that employees don't have trust in the reporting process, even though the FDIC has over 5 offices for employees to take their reports. This leads to employees feeling like the process is broken, confusing, ineffective, and to some degree, there's no real incentive to report when people are being browbeat and that word passes down through the culture. Can you describe some of the difficulties with that reporting channel to follow up on the line of questioning in your review?
Yes, Congressman. We described in our review, in our report, what we found in our review regarding concerns about the reporting processes and investigation processes. One question that FDIC employees have when they experience interpersonal misconduct is whether that conduct even violates any of the FDIC's policies, and this is in part due to some confusion about the policies and insufficient training on the policies.
Let me stop you there, because you know the FDIC and the Comptroller of the Currency and the bank regulators impose a strict standard as a part of their examination of HR practices at the institutions they regulate since the 1990s. What's not clear about sexual harassment in the FDIC policy that makes it so challenging to figure out?
One question that comes up is whether conduct that does not necessarily violate the law, but otherwise would count as harassment within the FDIC's policies, does violate any policies. So there's a misperception that in order for any conduct to violate the policies, it needs to rise to the level of unlawful conduct. Second,
is this a place where you'd want to work? Based on your spending weeks on this project, would you want to work in this environment?
I think that's a difficult question to answer in that, as we've all said in our statements, it's very clear, and we heard from the FDIC employees who reported to us how proud they are to work at the FDIC.
Excellent. It's an amazing mission since 1933, I agree. An important mission. But I don't believe that the current director should be in charge of cleaning up this situation. And I'm glad, according to the ranking member, that he's going to appoint, President Biden's going to appoint a new leader. But in the interim, for taking how long the confirmation process will take, it's my judgment that we should have the transition today and that the current chairman should be out of his office in order to move this atmosphere forward. Mr. McKernan, let me turn and talk about the implications of this. We have a softening economy. We have a rising set of challenges in commercial real estate lending. We have the sharpest increase in interest rates since 1980, which has created some real pressure in our depository institutions. And I'm concerned that we don't have the right leadership to get the basic job done at the FDIC. What is your assessment of that? This committee heard testimony during Silicon Valley. It was not impressive what we heard from the FDIC. And in fact, you sent us a memo pointing out the significant managerial weaknesses.
Yeah, Congressman, what I would say to that is the state of affairs of the FDIC is challenging. Morale is bad. We just fell, I think, second to last in our group in our federal employment surveys. We were near the top for quite some time. I think it's fair to say that a lot of staff have lost confidence in leadership and even the board. I think it's fair to say that staff have seen no real accountability, so it's hard to see much commitment to change absent that accountability. I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of skepticism, even cynicism, about prospects at the FDIC. But I think it's also important to really emphasize that almost all the FDIC employees are good people. Like I said at the beginning, these are solid public servants, deeply committed to the mission, despite everything that we have going on. And they're going to keep pushing to do the mission. I think it's the job of the leadership to make sure that they can do their job frankly, get
I
out of
agree.
the way.
Let me reclaim my time in closing and simply say, you're right. We've got to have the best morale, the best esprit de corps, the best talent in the FDIC to handle their jobs. But I don't believe that's being done. I believe change needs to happen immediately. Yield back.